Let me guess. You're sitting there with your phone in your hand, staring at a message that never came. He used to be all in texting first, making plans, telling you he couldn't wait to see you. And now, silence, cold, distant. You're probably wondering, what changed? More importantly, can I get him back without losing myself in the process? If you've been replaying every conversation, every moment, asking yourself, was it something I did? Did I come on too strong? Should I reach out again? You are in exactly the right place. Here's what most women don't realize. When a man pulls away, it's not always about what you did wrong. It's often about how he's processing his emotions, his doubts, or his fear of intimacy. But the biggest mistake you can make right now is chasing, fixing, or convincing. In this video, I'm going to teach you something that flips the entire script, how to respond in a way that makes him feel your absence without a single word. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding your value, embodying feminine power, and activating a part of him that starts to miss what he thought he could walk away from. So if you're tired of overthinking, tired of feeling powerless, and ready to shift the energy in your favor, stay right here. Because once you understand how men truly respond to silence, self-worth, and certainty, he won't be able to forget you. In fact, he'll come back, and it'll be his idea. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the one thing almost no one tells you. The real reason men pull away, even when things seem to be going great. He liked you. He pursued you. He may have even talked about the future. But now his energy is different. He's not texting as much. He's less present. Something feels off. Your gut knows it. And you're wondering if you imagined the whole connection. You didn't. Here's the truth. Men don't usually pull away because they've lost interest overnight. One reason they pull away is emotional overload. Not necessarily from you, but from their own internal process. When a man starts to feel something real, something deep, something that makes him feel seen, it can trigger his fears of vulnerability. See, emotional closeness feels like a risk to some men. It requires openness, communication, and the possibility of being hurt. And for many men, especially those who haven't done inner work or healed from past wounds, that risk is overwhelming. So instead of leaning in, they retreat. This is especially true when he senses that you're ready for more consistency, more clarity, more commitment, not because he doesn't like you, but because the pressure to meet your emotional needs collides with his fear of being not enough. It activates a panic response. He pulls away not to punish you, but to protect himself from his own uncertainty, his own inadequacy, or simply the weight of emotional responsibility. Now here's where most women make a painful mistake. They chase. They try to fix it. They initiate more. They over-explain. All of that comes from a good place, from love, from care, from wanting answers. But to him it feels like pressure. The more you try to pull him closer, the more he emotionally shuts down. That's why your silence, your confidence, your willingness to let go, even temporarily, is more powerful than any paragraph you could send. Because when you stop feeding into the dynamic, he finally has space to feel what life is like without your presence. He gets clarity. And if he's emotionally mature, he'll realize that pulling away didn't solve anything. It only made him miss you. Men pull away because they're emotionally flooded. But what makes them come back is emotional contrast, realizing what they had when they felt safe with you, versus the emptiness they feel when you step into your power and don't chase. So if you're in that phase right now, don't panic. It's not your job to fix his feelings. Your job is to stay grounded, to stay soft but strong, and to protect your energy. You don't have to convince him of your worth. The right man will feel it, especially when you stop trying to prove it. And when you master this moment, something shifts. That space you create becomes magnetic. Because the moment you stop chasing is the moment he starts wondering. Doing nothing. It sounds passive, weak, even. But when it comes to dating and relationships, especially when a man starts to pull away, doing nothing can be one of the most powerful responses you have. Here's why. When someone pulls away from us, our natural instinct, especially if we care, is to close the gap. We want to reach out, fix it, explain, reconnect, do something. But that urgency, that need to act right away, it often comes from fear, not power. Fear of abandonment, fear of losing something we thought was real. And in that panic, we start operating from a place of lack instead of confidence. But when you pause, when you don't chase, don't send that text, don't force clarity, you're not being passive, you're being strategic. You're giving space for the truth to rise, because when a man pulls away, the most revealing thing you can do is nothing. That silence speaks volumes. It tells him, I'm not here to beg for attention. I'm not going to compete for your love. I know my worth, and I know what I bring to the table. Doing nothing shifts the energy. It breaks the cycle of reaction. Suddenly, he's no longer in control of the emotional rhythm you are. And that's powerful, because men feel the difference when a woman chooses herself. They notice when the texts stop, when your energy pulls back, when you stop filling in the emotional gaps for them. In that silence, they're left alone with their thoughts. And that's when the reflection begins. Did they take you for granted? Did they feel something real, but didn't know how to handle it? Did they assume you'd always be there, no matter how inconsistent they were? That's when it hits them. You're not chasing. And here's the truth. Healthy relationships don't come from pursuit out of fear. They come from alignment. When you do nothing, you're not playing games. You're creating emotional clarity. You're letting him decide if he values you enough to come correct. And if he doesn't, that silence also reveals that maybe he was never your person to begin with. Either way, you win. Doing nothing gives you something too. Time to breathe, reflect, and check in with your own needs. Was he really showing up for you consistently? Were you already giving more than you were receiving? Sometimes the silence reveals that the version of him you were holding on to existed only in your mind, not in reality. So when in doubt, pause, step back, let him come to you. Not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you know you deserve effort, clarity, and consistency without having to chase it. That space, it doesn't mean giving up. It means standing still with strength, because the right man won't be confused by your silence. He'll be drawn back by it. And if he isn't, that silence just saved you from wasting more of your time. Let's talk about the moment everything changes. When you stop waiting for him to show up, and you start showing up for yourself. Reclaiming your power isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about realizing you never had to beg, prove, or compete for love in the first place. The power was always in you. You just got distracted trying to earn something that should have been given freely. Step 1, you stop making him the center of your emotional universe. That means no more checking his social media, no more analyzing his texts, no more waiting by the phone. Instead, you turn the spotlight inward. You ask yourself, what do I need? What lights me up? What parts of myself have I been neglecting just to keep someone else interested? Because the moment you stop obsessing over how he feels about you and start focusing on how you feel about you, everything shifts. Next, you rewrite the story. Not the story of the relationship, but the story you've been telling yourself about your worth. If you've been believing that his silence means you're not enough, or that his distance is a reflection of your value, it's time to stop. His behavior is about him, not you. Your job is to reclaim the narrative. Say to yourself, I am not hard to love. I am not too much. I am not waiting on anyone to choose me. I choose myself first. Then you recenter your energy. That means creating space in your life for you again. Pour into your friendships. Reconnect with your passions. Show up for your goals. You don't do these things to get him back. You do them because this is who you were before the heartbreak, and it's who you're becoming again, stronger and wiser. And finally, you practice emotional detachment, not coldness but clarity. You can still care about someone and refuse to lower your standards. You can feel the sting of his absence and still stand tall. Emotional detachment means you're not waiting for closure, validation, or a grand gesture. You're already closing that chapter with dignity and walking forward without begging for the ending you thought you needed. Because here's the secret. When a woman stops trying to prove her worth and simply embodies it, she becomes magnetic. You don't have to convince anyone of your value when you believe in it yourself. The energy changes. People feel it. He will feel it. And whether he comes back or not becomes less important. Because you're no longer waiting, you're choosing. Reclaiming your power isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It's steady. And it's felt. It's in how you carry yourself. In how you respond with grace instead of desperation. In how you rise from disappointment and still move forward like the queen you are. So stop waiting for closure. You are the closure. You are the power. And your glow up doesn't need an audience. It just needs you to believe that you deserve more than breadcrumbs. Here's what most women don't realize. When you pull back, something happens in his brain. Not immediately, and not because of some trick or reverse psychology. It's deeper than that. It's about how attraction, desire, and emotional processing work, especially in men who were never taught how to sit with their feelings in the first place. When you're consistently available, responsive, and emotionally invested, even while he's acting distant, he doesn't have the space to feel your absence. He's still getting the benefit of your energy, your affection, and your attention, even if he's not giving much in return. And let's be honest, when someone knows you'll always be there no matter what they do, they don't have to ask themselves what life would feel like without you. There's no urgency, no emotional contrast. But the moment you step back, genuinely calmly and without bitterness, you activate something powerful. It's called psychological reactance. This is a natural human response to losing something we assumed was secure. When your attention disappears, he doesn't just notice it, he feels the vacuum it leaves behind. And if there was any emotional connection at all, that vacuum is loud. Men are wired to respond to challenge, to space, and to shifts in energy. It doesn't mean they don't want love or closeness, but many men feel most attracted not when they're being chased, but when they realize they're losing something valuable. Pulling back gives him room to reflect. Was I too distant? Did I take her for granted? Why isn't she reaching out? And those questions stir curiosity, doubt, and often regret. The brain also associates reward with effort. If he has to work to reconnect with you, if he has to wonder, question, pursue, he naturally becomes more emotionally invested. The pursuit reactivates his interest, because now it's something he has to choose, not something handed to him. When love isn't easily available, it becomes more meaningful. This doesn't mean you should play games or withdraw as manipulation. It means you're letting nature do what it does best. You're stepping back, not to get a reaction, but to create space for truth to surface. Some men realize in that space that they truly miss you, that your presence brought peace, softness, and connection they didn't know they needed until it was gone. And some men, they realize they weren't ready. That's okay too. You still win, because pulling back will always show you who's meant for you. So when you stop chasing, when you go quiet, when you shift your focus inward, his brain doesn't just register silence, it registers loss. And if he cares, even a little, that loss will start to pull him back in. Not because you asked for it, but because he suddenly remembers what it felt like to be close to you. And now he's the one wondering how to get it back. Let me share a few real stories from women, just like you, who decided to stop chasing, pulled back with confidence, and watched everything shift. These aren't fairy tales. These are real, raw moments where choosing self-worth changed everything. First, there's Maya. She was dating someone for 5 months. Everything seemed great. Calls every night, future plans, even little "I miss you" texts. But out of nowhere, he started pulling back. Texts became dry. He stopped initiating. Instead of panicking, Maya did something different. She didn't blow up his phone. She didn't send a long paragraph asking for clarity. She simply stopped reaching out. Quietly, calmly, she focused on her friends, got back into yoga, started a passion project she'd been putting off. 2 weeks later, she got a message at 10 p.m. It said, "Hey, I've been thinking about you a lot. Can we talk?" He came back, not just with words, but with changed behavior. Why? Because Maya's silence made him feel the weight of her absence. It gave him space to realize what he had been losing. Then there's Kiara. She was in an on-and-off situationship with a guy who always came close, then pulled away every time it felt like they were getting serious. She'd always try to patch things up, keep the peace, prove she was low maintenance. But one day, she stopped. No announcement, no angry message, just a clean break. She started showing up differently, for herself. She got therapy, unfollowed him, stopped watching his stories. 3 months later, he reached out, apologized, said he realized she was the only woman who had truly seen him. But here's the twist. Kiara had already moved on. By pulling back, she gave herself the clarity she had always been waiting for someone else to give her. And it changed her life. And finally, there's Samira. Married for 4 years, things had gotten cold. Her husband had emotionally checked out, barely engaging, always distracted, no intimacy. She begged, She tried therapy. Nothing worked. Then she stopped trying. Not out of resentment, but out of self-respect. She focused on rebuilding herself, took solo trips, started painting again, and she emotionally detached without shutting him out. It took time, but slowly he noticed. He started asking questions, leaning back in. For the first time in years, he initiated the hard conversations. Her shift wasn't loud, it was graceful, and it changed the dynamic completely. The common thread in all of these stories: these women stopped chasing, stopped begging, and started choosing themselves. And that energy, grounded, secure, feminine, and calm, did what no amount of over-explaining ever could. It pulled the right people closer, and pushed the wrong ones out of the picture for good. So if you're in that silent phase right now, wondering if pulling back is doing anything, trust that it is. You may not see it yet, but it's working, and it always starts with you. When you want him back, it's easy to fall into certain traps. Mistakes that feel natural in the moment, but actually push him further away. These mistakes don't just sabotage your chances, they drain your energy, your confidence, and your peace of mind. The good news: once you know what to avoid, you can steer clear and protect your power. The first mistake is chasing him relentlessly. This might sound obvious, but it's harder to resist than you think. Sending multiple texts, calling repeatedly, or showing up uninvited all scream desperation. Desperation isn't attractive, it signals low self-worth. When you chase, you're telling him that your happiness depends on his attention, and that's a heavy burden for anyone to carry. Instead, what he needs to see is a woman who values herself enough to hold space, even if that means waiting in silence. Another huge mistake is over-explaining yourself. When emotions run high, it's tempting to justify your feelings, your actions, or why you reacted a certain way. But long messages, confessions, or apologies can feel like emotional dumping. They don't clarify, they overwhelm. And for a man who's already pulled back, this often feels like pressure to respond or fix something he's not ready to face. Keep your communication simple, clear, and calm. Less is more. Next up is trying to change yourself to fit what you think he wants. This is a fast track to resentment and heartbreak. Maybe you stop doing things you love, hide parts of your personality, or say yes when you really mean no just to keep the peace. But love that lasts isn't built on sacrifice or pretending. It's built on authenticity. If he doesn't love you for who you are, pulling him back won't create a healthy relationship. It'll only create a cycle of dissatisfaction. Avoid jumping to conclusions or assuming the worst. When he pulls away, your mind might race to the darkest place. He's lost interest, he's seeing someone else, or it's over. While sometimes these fears are valid, most of the time they're stories we tell ourselves out of anxiety. Acting on those assumptions, whether by accusing, interrogating, or cutting him off prematurely, can sabotage a second chance before it even has one. Another mistake is neglecting your own healing. Sometimes, in the effort to get him back, women forget to process their own feelings, pain, anger, or disappointment. Ignoring your emotional health makes it harder to stay grounded and magnetic. Healing isn't a detour, it's a foundation. When you take time to heal, you show up as your best self, which is the most attractive version of you. Lastly, don't fall into the trap of settling for crumbs, tiny scraps of attention that don't meet your needs. If he's inconsistent, non-committal, or emotionally unavailable, holding on to hope that he'll change overnight only keeps you stuck. Real love requires real effort, consistency, and respect. Know your bottom line and honor it. By avoiding these mistakes, you reclaim control. You stop playing games and start playing from a place of power. Remember, getting him back isn't about changing who you are or proving your worth. It's about standing tall, staying true, and letting the right person come to you because they see the value you bring, not because you chased it. Here's the truth. The moment you make this shift, inside your mind, your heart, your energy, is the moment everything changes. It's not about what he does or says. It's not about convincing him, chasing him, or even waiting for him to come back. The shift is about you, how you see yourself, how you value yourself, and how you choose to show up in your own life. When you stop defining your worth through someone else's actions, you break free from a cycle that keeps you stuck. It's a radical act of self-love to decide that your happiness, your peace, and your confidence Don't depend on him or anyone else. That's not cold or uncaring. That's powerful, grounded, and deeply attractive. This shift means you stop living in the what-ifs and the maybes. You stop replaying old conversations, analyzing every word, or trying to decode mixed signals. Instead, you focus on your growth, your passions, your joy. You step into the woman who doesn't just hope for love, she commands it by embodying it. When you make this shift, you create an energy that's magnetic. It's an energy that draws the right people to you naturally. People who respect your boundaries, match your effort, and cherish your authenticity. Because attraction isn't about chasing, it's about being. And here's the secret. No one tells you. The more you live from this place of self-respect and clarity, the less you worry about whether he comes back or not. Because whether he does or doesn't, you already win. You win because you refuse to settle. You win because you chose yourself first. You win because you grew stronger, wiser, and more connected to who you truly are. That shift also gives you freedom. Freedom from anxiety, from confusion, and from emotional roller coasters. Freedom to be present in your life, to enjoy new experiences, to open your heart without fear. It's like stepping out of a fog and finally seeing clearly. So if you're still holding on to hope that he'll come back, hold on to this instead. Your power isn't waiting for him. Your power is in how you show up for yourself every single day. The more you practice that, the more you'll notice subtle changes, confidence in your voice, peace in your decisions, and joy that comes from within. And when he does see that, when he witnesses a woman who loves herself fiercely and refuses to settle, he'll know exactly what he almost lost. Sometimes that realization brings him back, and sometimes it just means you're ready for someone better. Either way, you win, because this shift isn't just about getting him back, it's about reclaiming your life, your energy, and your happiness. And that, more than anything, is what changes everything.